Good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to another barbarian video. We're continuing on the previous subject, on the subject of the previous video, I should say. The subject is Whirling Axes. If you couldn't tell by the title of the video already. Yeah. So here we are. These are our stat and attributes. What we're doing is, double swing gives you a synergy for Whirling Axe. We go 1 point Whirlwind because that's what we use to proc the axes, to trigger the axes. We use 1 in all the passives that are good, which is all of them. Edge Weapon Master is not necessary, but you can use it. One click in it if you want. It will help in certain setups, but not necessary. I figured it gives you quite a bit of things for just one click, so I got it just for the quality of life of having more damage on the weapon, so that we don't need that much leech from other sources in order to leech, adequate amount of life and mana. Anyway, this is the more interesting part here at the war cries. Grimward maxed. That's my build, and I think it's the best to have Grimward maxed, and to have the war cry is the synergy for Whirling Axes, so that's why we have that maxed. It's for Whirling Axe damage, and then the rest of the points I go battle orders, because I think there's really no other place to put them other than that. We could, go up to +1 extra skill on battle command instead of using a little bit higher battle orders but this is a flavor thing. If you want more damage, if you're feeling safe, maybe you're running with a storm shield already, then fuck it, go with the damage, boost your party member damage, and then and just put 1 point in battle orders. But me personally, I don't really run with Storm Shield that much, so that's why I put like that. And when it comes to the attributes, with this build that you will see soon with the items, you don't need any point into strength, 0 into strength. All of this is from gear, and then you're putting into dexterity and vitality. And what I would recommend is to be at 3000 life. If you want to push a high level, at least be at 3000 life. If you only want to be 93 or something like that, you don't need 3000 life. You can maybe get away with 2k, 2.5k, up to you. But what we do is we get the life up to a comfortable level that we feel comfortable with. In my case, is 3000. And I also have very good grand charms with a lot of life on them, so that's one reason I can get to 3000. Without those, I'll probably land around 2.6, 2.7k maybe. So I go 3k because I can, but not necessary. I played with a two-hander on 2.5k or even 2k life, and it's okay. You will die, but it's okay. Anyway, this is what I recommend. 3k life, and then the rest dump it into dexterity. We get more damage to Whirling Axes by having dexterity. But also we get a chance to block, because this build uses the shield, a one-hander and a shield in this build. The last build was two-hander, and my thoughts on that this time around is the one-hander and the best in slot type of build, which I found to be using a one-hander with Whirling Axes. So let's jump into the game here. We're gonna compare a few things here in the game, but first let's go over the gear. The gear that I have is it's good. It's not optimal, but it's pretty good. The helmet are its face. It gives 2 barbarian skills. The other things are pretty good, like 20 strength, 20 dex, 30 all rest. That's pretty nice, but you will see later that those things are not necessary, and what you're really only getting from the helmet, if you break things down, is hit recovery, skill levels, and life stolen. You will have plenty of resistance with the other stuff. That the resistance doesn't matter. So what you can do if you want to play a little bit more off meta, or whatever, you know, you can go with the other unique barbarian helmets, and if they have +3 to masteries, you know, Whirling Axes is a mastery, so if you have that, which gives you +3 instead of what this do is +2, you know, you could use that. You could use a circlet even, or a tiara, 3 socket, you know, with something like physical damage taken reduced, or cast rate, faster on walk, something like that. Even a blue or a rare circlet, it works actually, because what you want on the build is all skills, life. The rest of the things you get kind of for free from the other items. Enigma armor, best rune in the game, hands down. It gives you mobility and the 2 all skills. That's why we use it. It also gives you a shit ton of strength, so that also helps. Honestly, all the things on Enigma is awesome. Just get Enigma. Honestly, there's no comparison when it comes to clear speed. That's the best armor to have on this build. Like I said before, we're not using Whirlwind to deal damage, so having 42 is kind of pointless. So we go Enigma. The Whirling Axes are just like a spell. They don't care about your auras and that, so they just hit. And then boots, water walk. I'm probably the only barb that uses water walk, but it gives dexterity and life. Like I said a minute ago, we're chasing skills, dexterity and life with this build. So we're using water walks. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have a good slam on it. What would be better would be, obviously, like I said, dexterity. So we can slam dexterity on boots. If we're lucky, we can have like 30 dexterity on the boots, which is crazy. And up to 65 life from this particular boot. But you can run other boots. The boot slot and the glove slot usually don't matter too much. In this case, the boot slot doesn't matter that much, but the glove slot matters. So what we do is we're crafting knockback gloves, and what we get when we do that is we get knockback. On every glove we make, we get knockback, and then the other stuff could be, you know, a host of different things. But some good stats to have would be mana leech, life leech. You can get dual leech on the glove, by the way. Dual leech glove with res, or something like that. But you don't need that. You can use any knockback glove, really. I made like 10 of them yesterday, and this was the best one I got out of those 10. So so we'd upgrade a little bit my character through this. It was easy, you know. Making this glove is easy. The reason we're using knockback glove is because the other gloves for the build doesn't really offer that much. I mean, this one gives you damage to demons, which is super nice for killing the hell whips and other demons fast as you killing all the shit mobs. So that's pretty nice. But this is more for a two-handed. This damage to demon stat doesn't do much unless you have a lot of base damage, like weapon damage. Unless you have a lot of weapon damage, it doesn't do much. So this is just not gonna be used in this build. Ghoul Hide is nice because it gives you life and it gives you mana stolen. So if you're lacking mana stolen, use a Ghoul Hide until you can get mana stolen from your glove, knockback glove. And then I'm just gonna talk about these weapons. And then so that's the glove. Not much to say really. The shield that I usually use, if I'm using a shield, is Spirit. And if I'm not in the risk of dying whatsoever, I would use a dual wield, because I have this synthesized weapon that gives you more chance to release Whirling Axes, and it gives you 100% magic find. So I would use this if I'm running this setup right here, if I'm running an easy map. The jar rune in this is not necessary in this setup, but if you're using a different mercenary than I am, you want the jar rune in your weapon. But we're gonna come to that in just a minute or so. So you can use dual wield, you don't need to use a shield, but the spirit shield offers so much. I would use spirit shield in 9 out of 10 player 8 games, especially player 8 games, because the cast rate and the hit recovery is it's so godly on this shield. It's just so good. You're getting up to 86 hit recovery when you're using Spirit. You know, using this, you have already 85. So just one more hit recovery and you have 86 hit recovery, which on Barbarian is ultra fast. You don't even notice that you're getting a hit recovery animation. Your character just goes and it just doesn't stop. So I definitely recommend this. And it cast rate helps you to cast Grim Ward. We maxed Grim Ward, remember? That's a really big boost to our damage from Whirling Axes. So we want to be able to cast the Grim Ward fast because we're casting it a lot of times. So we need a cast rate to be able to have a faster clear speed. That's why we're using the spirits in most cases. This is for just, like I said, magic find and extra procs in case I'm feeling, you know, like let's say a map does not have any physical immunes, then we might as well do it like that. And I'm playing solo, we might as well do like that, you know. But if we have to cast the Grim Ward every few screens because of the Bloodlords or whatever, we need to have cast rate in order to do that, and hit recovery. Because what happens is all the mobs are coming at you at the same time, and if you try to cast a Grim Ward and you're getting hit recovery animation, your cast rate is slow, you're just standing there like nothing is happening, you know, because your character just has so slow frames. So with this on, you can cast Grim Ward in the middle of a group of monsters in Ruined Citadel or whatever. You will get it off. It won't be an issue to cast it, which it otherwise would be. And further on the cast rate, we're using the Arachnid Mesh to reach a higher cast rate breakpoint. The cast rate breakpoint for Barbarian are the same as they are for Sorceress, and they have the same speed as the Sorceress. So cast rate on Barbarian is actually super nice when we're using Grim Ward. It's just, we want it. And it gives +1 all skills. If it did not give +1 all skills, I would start making crafted caster belts for this slot. But it has 1 all skills, so we're not replacing this. We're using this. Slows target 10% is nice, but you don't really notice that shit anyway. As far as rings, Bulkatos, nothing else here to worth mention. It's just the life steal and all skills. Life on based on character level does not multiply by battle orders, so that's kind of a useless stat. It's just 48 life flat. You know, look at the life right now, it's just -48. It doesn't get affected by battle orders. So, but the all skills and life stolen is awesome to have. And then the amulet, caster amulet. You're looking for a 7 FCR on this. I believe 7. No wait, 8. Fuck, I forgot. It's 8. Yeah, sorry. 8 or 18 on the amulet, 20 or 30 on the belt. That's what we're looking for, because we want to be able to use different kinds of... we don't always use the shield, so we don't always have 35 extra cast rate. So that's why we can get, you know, a different breakpoint if we have that, what I just mentioned. We can get 37 cast rate breakpoint if we not using Spirit. Like if we're running this, 37 is still really fast, but with this it's just godly. It's just godly with this. If we get 63, it is godly. We're not hitting 63 though, are we? No, we're not. We're not hitting 63 right now because our amulet is garbage. But yeah, even like this, it's a very fast cast rate and animation. So there's that. Now I did compare some weapons. But you are going to follow along and compare them with me. So what happens when you don't... I didn't even mention what my main weapon is. My main weapon nowadays is Silence. Colossus Blade, Silence in particular. Colossus Blade has the longer range than other weapons, and you can use it in a one hand as a barbarian. So we're using that for the range. Fortunately, it has a decent damage as well. So we're getting enough mana stolen and life stolen that we can sustain ourselves. So why Silence though? Well, +2 all skills, like I said earlier, you're chasing all skills, you're chasing life. So this one gives +2 all skills. It gives you the cleansing aura. So this one is so nice to have when you're trying to level up, because you're not gonna get one shot barely as often. Like it barely. I haven't died since I used this. I don't die as often anymore with the one-handed build, you know, in general. But the cleansing aura is super nice to have. So that's one. Well, that's two good reasons to use this. The other reasons are hit recovery 20%. That's nice, you know. 11% mana leech is ridiculous. That amount is ridiculous. It's so good. You don't need any more mana leech than this weapon right here. You only really need 5-ish mana leech to sustain with a one-hander. Kind of regardless of which one you use, to be honest, unless it's something really low damage. But you want to have about 100 or so one-hand damage on the weapon here. About 100 average or so. That's when you're getting enough leech to use the low numbers like 5% or 4% or even 2%. 2% you need some really high damage on your weapon to use, but I hope you understand what I'm getting with this. And then all resistances plus 75. What the fuck? It's like some kid wrote this rumor or something. It's just ridiculous. 75%. So the resistances are just ridiculous. I don't probably saw them in the beginning of the video, but they're ridiculous, overcapped. So even lower resist or conviction doesn't matter when you're running silence. Actually, lower resist never matters because you're using cleansing aura. So even a map with lower resist and conviction is just completely negated by this weapon. It's just incredible. So you can run those maps without even worrying about anything. Then we have also the next stat, half restoration. Something that I've said before, it's a very nice thing to have on Whirlwind Barbarian, because we're never gonna use a Ravenfrost on Whirlwind Barbarian unless it's some temporary garbage that we just found. The reason why is because when we're whirlwinding, our attack rate does not get affected by anything whatsoever in the game. You can use no weapon, you can use a big weapon, small weapon, fast weapon, slow weapon. You can be slowed, you can be cursed, you can be whatever. You're hitting the same attack speed anyway. With Whirlwind, has the same attack speed. So half restoration though, it helps you because when you're let's say killing some monsters that are doing cold damage to you, by the time you finish spinning, if you have half restoration, you won't be frozen anymore. So this is basically a Ravenfrost, but for barbarians. So it gives you the ability to, you know, not have to worry about being slowed down by cold when you are running. But when you're killing, it doesn't matter because you're moving the same rate, you're attacking the same rate. So all you really need is half restoration. You can get that from the weapon if you're using silence. You can also get it from a boot or a glove if you're making these. You can get it on the glove actually, which is nice. You can get it on a boot if you're using Marrowwalks. Marrowwalks is a pretty good choice here. You can use Marrowwalks if you want. If you want to have a life tap, but on demand. If you want to have a life tap on demand for some situation, I don't know, but I reckon Waterwalks gives you the most. You know, in terms of overall performance, I think Waterwalks performs better because it gives you a shit ton of life and dex. Instead of strength index, it gives life index, so it's a bit better than that. Because I mentioned earlier, we're not putting any point into strength, and we're reaching enough to equip the Monarch, 154, I think, without requirement on it, and this one 152. It's just a plain Colossus blade, so we don't need strength. We're using Enigma, we don't need strength, so there's that. And then it gives better chance of magic items and 20 requirement reduction on this, which puts it in that range where we don't need any points into strength. So this weapon in this base is just for this build. But we're gonna compare the other weapons that I have. I have Icy Cavern up here because it has Bloodlords. I would have run a Musty Crypt if I had one, but I don't have one at the moment. So we're gonna demonstrate in this map here. And I already did some killing earlier, so let's go somewhere where there is monsters. Okay, here's monsters. So first thing, if we're seeing a Bloodlord, we're casting Grimward. We're not really doing anything unless we're casting Grimward on the Bloodlords. When we see elites that are not squishy like those, we're casting Grim Ward. When we have monsters, you know, a lot of monsters on the screen, like right there, that was, you know, 15 monsters or so on the screen. We're casting Grim Ward as soon as possible. This helps us clear. And see, here we have a problem. We put the Grim Ward down, and it doesn't get affected. This Blood Lord is not affected. This Blood Lord is not affected. This one is. Well, now the thing broke. But you could see for a very long time there that the Grim Ward wasn't working. And this has been a problem for 4 years now. And nobody believes me, but there's actually hard evidence right there that it doesn't work. So that's why we want to have the cast rate. Because if we cast it twice, that shit rarely happens. So we can cast it twice in the same speed as someone else without the cast rate can cast it once. Or maybe even faster, I'm not sure. The thing about the cast rate and placing Grim Ward is you're placing it on corpses. And it's a melee range. So to cast Grim Ward, you need to stand next to monsters basically and get fucking hit all the time. And that's why it's faster to cast 2 Grim Wards with a faster cast rate and faster hit recovery than it is to cast 1 Grim Ward without it. Because when you're without a faster cast rate and a faster hit recovery, you will get interrupted. And then it's just super slow, and then you might even die, you know. So definitely want to use a Spirit Shield, in my opinion, for most content. Just for that simple reason that we can't cast Grim Ward, and when we cast Grim Ward, we kinda always want to cast 2 Grim Wards, so be sure that it works actually, because it's bugged, you know. Anyway, so there you see me play a little bit with Silence and Spirit. Now I'm gonna change weapons and demonstrate so you can see different weapons, right? So we have Doom here. Doom we're gonna use for not too long. I kinda already know what happens when you use Doom. So what happens when you use Doom is your Mercenary has an easier time. But other than that, it's not very beneficial. It just helps your Mercenary basically. Plus 2 all skills is nice. It's a good weapon. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a good weapon. You can definitely use this. You will see now. You can't even tell that I'm using a different weapon. It just kills pretty fast. Leech is good, you know. I swapped gloves from knockback to soul drainers because it has a mana leech on it. And Doom doesn't have any mana leech, so we need to get it from somewhere. So in this setup, if I'm using Doom, or rather, if I'm not using Silence or anything else with mana leech on it, then we're gonna use soul drainer gloves. 7% mana leech at the top, which is just. It's a little bit over what we need. I think what we need, like I said earlier, is about 5, and we get 7 on a perfect roll. So we're using Soul Drainer with this setup here, and this helps the Mercenary because I'm freezing on each attack, and I'm providing Holy Freeze Aura for the Mercenary to have an easier time while he is being stupid somewhere. Hopefully close enough to benefit from it. But anyway. So that's that weapon. That's you see that it works. It kills fast enough, you know. Then we have Last Wish. This is something that someone dropped. It's not my. I would have made it in a Colossus blade if it was mine. But so this one was an idea that I have. You know, maybe this would be better or worse. I'll tell you what I came to conclude. So it's like this, right? This is a safety weapon. So this will be. For the life tap and the fade, that's why you would use this. This would be for a really rippy map. If you have way too many jar runes, or Sur runes and Burr runes, like that ever gonna happen. If you have too many runes, I guess, you know, you could have this in stash for safety reasons, and the same reason I have this and the belt in stash here, String of Ears. It's just to be safer, you know. Let's say there's a really hard map with like plus damage, plus amp, and maybe it has the Doom Knights in it, the casting Decrepify 24/7. So you can't really rely on Silence to cleanse it, you know, because you're always getting cursed. Like every half a second you're getting cursed, and the map has, you know, amp damage, concentration aura. It has plus 200 damage. It has some super rippy physical damage mods on it. So that case, first of all, I wouldn't run it solo. But if I'm running in a player 8 game, and you know, in player 8 games you can't really you can't do much about what maps are getting opened. So you can have adequate gear, though you can prepare with the gear. So we're preparing with the gear here. So these are for, so this setup right here, I'm gonna show you just now. So this setup right here is the ultra safe setup. Tons of PDR and res from this shield here, tons of PDR and res from the fade, and shitload of life leech from life tap, and here also more life leech and more PDR. So this is the ultra safe, maybe hardcore type playstyle, but you could definitely use it like this as well. You don't need the last wish. It's kind of a thing. I think silence is just better than last wish in terms of keeping you alive, you know, and all that. Gives you more resistance in case of that, and it gives you the cleansing. The type of map that I was, you know, referring to for the scenario of using this is just very, very unlikely that people will even open it, because it's just death, and nobody wants to play a game where you just go in and die. So that type of map doesn't get run, honestly. So that's just for the occasional maybe super rippy map that might want to try for the lols, honestly. Then we have Azurath. We showed Doom already. It's decent, you know, but let's have a look at Azurath and how it performs in the maps. Yep, we're gonna have to use Soul Drainer for that, so we have enough mana leech. Here's the Soul Drainer gloves, by the way. So let's see here. Oh, you can already see I'm not used to the range. So first spin I just whiffed because I wasn't used to the faceplate range being a little bit lower than the Colossus blade. When it comes to range, it's just a matter of getting used to it. You will see now that when I'm running this map, I'm doing more of this. More zigzagging. When I'm using Colossus blade, it's more straight. And anybody who knows anything about, you know, going from A to B, is going straight is the best way, the fastest way anyway. So you will not suffer, you know, but it will be a tiny bit slower with an AW, let's say, you know, faceblade base. But what scenario would I use it? Because it's still in my main map stash, so I do use it, and you can see it works. Nothing wrong with this at all. So when would I use it? Again, it's one of those things where I would use it maybe once in a blue moon, but when I use it, it's gonna be super beneficial to me, because it's hyper focused on a certain task, and this task is to reduce physical resistances of enemies. That's the job of this Azurath. So I would run this in a map that has that has PDR slam on it, or a map that has, you know, well, actually, yeah, or a map that does not have any PDR monsters. However, it might have, you know, a lot of Bloodlords, Doom Knights, stuff that has like 50 plus or even 80 plus PDR naturally. I would run with Azur, because then I don't need to cast Greenwater at all in that map, because I just plow through everything. So that's one way to go. And it's kind of up to you, honestly, when it comes to the weapon. As long as the weapon has about a 100 one-hand damage, you can get away with any weapon, honestly. Which is kind of nice. I think it's quite nice, because the biggest hindrance for Barbarian to be decent is the weapon. It's like, you can do all the other gear, it can be perfect, but if your weapon is trash, your Barb is trash. But with Whirling Axes, it's not the case. All of your gear actually matters. Not 90% weapon, 10% the rest of the stuff. It's like equal kind of spread between all the gear and all the charms and all that. So this is for that type of scenario. Scenario with, let's say, what's it called? Dim Cellar is a good place to use this, for example. All right. And so we do use this occasionally, but not that often. But what we do use very, very often is silence. Mostly I'm playing with silence nowadays. It's just faster because of the range. I don't need to zigzag as much. And in a really easy map, not this one that I'm running right now, but in other map that's easy, I would use my synthesized weapon instead of my spirits. I would actually dual wield. You don't benefit at all from dual wielding with a Whirlwind Barbarian, but this is what I would run in an easy scenario. Solo play, by the way, because of the magic finding, and it gives magic finding, right? The weapon itself has very good damage, but it doesn't really matter in Whirlwind, like I've been saying a few times in Whirling Axes. Sorry, it doesn't really matter. So, what do matter is that 60% added chance to release Whirling Axes. So this is like compensating for something, you know. The chance to release Whirling Axes is more damage, more procs, or I guess more procs, more damage. So kind of compensating for a lack of whatever else could be in the shield slot, like spirit. So that's why I would run it, you know, because it keeps you a clear speed up about the same in a solo game, but it gives me more chance to release the axes, so kind of evens it out in terms of, you know, clear speed, even though it doesn't have the cast rate and the hit recovery that you get from spirit. And the resistances with this on is still good because of the silence. But when we remove the silence, remove this, the resistances, okay, they're actually still good. Never mind. Yeah, resistances are so good. I think a big reason why the resistances are very good in this build is because we're having all these grand charms with masteries on it. Forgot to mention maybe, but we want to use masteries with life and getting your breakpoint, you know, hit recovery maybe through skill charms or not. It's up to you, but I threw in 3 of these with run walk and then the rest with high life, because I just find it's a nice sweet spot to have 20 extra faster run walk on the character, you know. So that's my style anyway. It's up to you. Again, if you want to use more run walk or more life, it's up to you. Because they're small charms, these small charms are life. You know, 20 life is my worst one, and then we have some 20 life, 19 whatever with some max damage on it. This does not really benefit you that much. This +2 max damage doesn't really do much for this build here, because we don't use fortitude, we don't have a high level whirlwind, so it doesn't really do that much. But the life is the important part here. If you were richer or whatever, if you had other charms that gave life and all rest, or all rest and hit recovery, those would be superior to this. You know, if you were to piece all the things together perfectly, it would be better to have 20 life, 5 all rest charms than to have this. But you know, it's hard to find those. Very hard to find those. Yeah, so I don't know, but I think I didn't really mention about knockback. I'm not sure, but let's talk about knockback for a moment. So what happens with knockback on Whirling Axes is Whirling Axes does not have a next hit delay. Next hit delay is a term that means that when a spell passes through a target, it gives the target a next hit delay, which prevents him from taking damage from that spell for a certain time, for a certain delay. So while the axe is going through me, let's say our axe is coming here, and it's going through me, instead of it hitting me once and then in the next frame it hits me again until it leaves my body or whatever, instead of doing that, you know, because that would make every spell hit 20 times on the same target or whatever, you have something called next hit delay. So it hits me once and then it puts a timer where I can't take damage from that spell until the timer expires. That's next hit delay. So Whirling Axes has no next hit delay. No next hit delay. The same target can be hit infinite amount of times by the same monster. So what happens when you knock him back is he changes position and you get hit again. Even if it just changed the position by the smallest amount, he gets hit again by the axe. So knockback really boosts your single target damage, especially. So that's why we use the knockback gloves. Yeah, the Mercenary now is another part of the build. That's the Mercenary. in the previous build I was using Act 5 Mercenary with Grandfather, Kira and Shaft Stop, which is a really good way to do it. You can do it that way in this build as well. However, there is a better way in my opinion. The Act 5 Mercenary will have a little bit more survivability than this Act 2 Mercenary setup does. But the bonus you get from the Act 2 Mercenary weapon that we have in this case is just too big to ignore in my opinion. So we're using Act 2 Mercenary as a best in slot mercenary for this build. I think it's pretty much done deal. So why? Well, he can use Pride. It gives concentration aura when equipped up to level 20. That thing adds like 10,000 attack rating flat. So when we're spinning, if we're not using that, you will see the attack rating went from 20k to 9k. I don't know why it says Quill Rat, but we're gonna try and hit some monster in hell here. Not here, obviously, because he killed them all. But let's see here. We're gonna kill something here. Hopefully, something is close. All right, good. So now we have. Okay, here we go. 84% chance to hit. So 16% of your attacks will not have the ability to proc axes. So we need to hit the target in order to proc the axes. Here we go, hell spawn 76. Oof, big reduce. 24% less chance to have Whirling Axe proc. That's a massive difference from equipping this. Let's put on Pride. Let's see the same monster. Yep, 95%, 90% chance. Here we go. And this is more like it. So we're not getting 95%, but we're getting 90%. This is very high. Obviously, going from 90 to 95 means we will cut our misses in half, although it's not really necessary in my opinion. 90% is plenty. So we're using this with a Jaha rune in it. I mean, for some reason it just has the same hit chance. I don't know if that's a bug or not, but it seems like Jaha rune in the weapon doesn't really do anything. Let's be honest, it doesn't seem to do anything. It went down, you know, my chance to hit went down with this. And I can't figure out why, honestly. This one has attack rating to undead, but I hit the demon monster here. Hell spawn, that's a demon, it's not a skeleton, so, or undead, sorry. So I don't know what's up with that. I don't think it works, honestly. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't display over here. But you know, if you're not using the Pride Mercenary, then putting a Jaha rune in the weapon or Eth rune in the weapon is a good way to increase your procs. That's what we want. We want more access, so you need to hit the target. So this is why we use the Act 2 Mercenary. For the Pride aura, concentration aura that you get from Pride, sorry. It has freezes target, which is nice for the Mercenary, keeping alive. Hit blinds is decent. +1 is like nothing, but yeah, the Mercenary here is not as tanky as the Act 5 setup, but you know, like I said, you get faster clear speed, so we're using that. The helmet is a steel shade. You can use a 3-socket Grim Visage, what the fuck's it called? Jeez, the green helmet that looks like a skull. What the fuck? I'm just drawing a blank. I can't believe this. What is it called? But fuck. You know what I mean, right? 8% mana leech, 8% life leech, 20 PDR, 15 magic damage reduction. That helmet. Can't remember the freaking name of it because I'm just like not remembering it. Anyway, you can use that 3-socket helmet with physical damage reduction and 8 life leech if you want, or you can use a steel shade. It's kind of up to you. I reckon the Vampire Gaze, that's the name. The Vampire Gaze helmet is better because it gives you 20 PDR, so you get 50 PDR on the Mercenary, which is cap. So you can use the sockets for whatever else. Like, well, I guess there's only like attack speed and resistance left, but it's gonna be quite nice for you if you have a Vampire Gaze and the Shaft Stop, 50 PDR capped already, and then you can put over cap with res and attack speed. If you're really rich, you can go attack speed, res, jewels, and that way when you hit a map with like conviction or low resist is fine because you have cleansing. But if you have a map with conviction, then the mercenary will actually not be deleted instantly, so you can have a mercenary still alive in the map. So yeah, but I have a steel shade because someone gave it to me. I don't have a 3-socket vamp case, so I'm using this. It's decent enough. The life gain on melee hit is decent enough to keep him alive, and it also helps for the non-leachables or immunes to get the life on melee hit mod on it. In terms of attack speed, I went 45 attack speed. And in here is a burn, a and a random attack speed jewel with magic find on it. Fucking whatever. Like you can see, it's not even, I didn't put the whole thing in it yet, so it still works pretty well. But the mercenary here is much squishier than the Act 5 mercenary. But the overall benefit is greater. So yeah. Yeah, then we have the swap stuff. Also, I kind of don't know if I mentioned this, but the storm shield and the string of ears and the soul drainer gloves, these are for safety. And the last wish, I guess. So these 4 items here is for the maps that are just wanting to kill you as soon as you enter. The really rippy ones. You're using that setup here. Mana stolen on this is the reason we're using it, because we're losing the mana stolen from this, so we need to put it somewhere else. So we get that. Unless we would have had it on this, then it would be fine, but we don't, so it's not fine. So we're using the fucking soul drainer. Yeah, I think that's about it. I think I touched on about everything. Yeah, the magic find is too high here. Remember in my previous videos I've pretty much always said that 100 MF is the sweet spot. Here's what happens when you have over 100 MF. You end up with a stash that looks like this, and you can't do anything about it because you don't have any orbs, you don't have any lems, you don't have any pull, whatever the fuck you need to slam this shit, you don't have it. It's an unfortunate like a blessing in disguise kinda to have the magic find from the weapon here, 30% extra, and apparently 25 from my fucking amulet. That I mean, yeah, it is what it is, you know. It's bad and it's good at the same time. Take it as you want. I think that's about it. I open up the stats here. You can have a look. Maybe I wasn't mentioning something here. You can have a look at it. Yeah, and that's about it for the video. I hope I got everything in it. I think we talk about cast rate as well, yeah. Alright, well then, I'm gonna call that a good video, and have a good rest of your day, evening or morning. Peace out!